Now, Russia's ambassador to the UK has accused Britain of now being directly involved in the war in Ukraine. His comments made in an interview with me came after the UK-made long-range cruise missiles were used for the first time on targets inside Russia. It was also after Russia was accused of firing a larger ballistic missile into Ukraine. In the past few minutes, Vladimir Putin has said that attacks on Russia with Western weapons would not change the outcome of what he called the special operation. I've been speaking to the Russian ambassador, Andrei Kelin.
Ukraine is saying that Russia is now firing a new, more powerful missile at a city of 1 million people, Dnipro. How can you say that it's the West that is escalating this war?
Actually, I have no information on that side. I have seen something going here, but I cannot comment on that.
Right. I mean, the Ukrainians, I think, would know if a more powerful missile is landing in their city or one of their cities.
Well, I can say only that I'm aware what I'm aware. I cannot read every minute everything. I know about the British Storm Shadow that has been fired yesterday, as well as American attacks being fired yesterday as well.
Why is that such a problem, given Russia has been firing cruise missiles into Ukrainian cities since the beginning of the war?
Actually, there were assurances that there will be no strikes deep inside the Russian territory. And what has happened, it is what we have seen. We have made multiple warnings that missiles, that it will be a serious escalation in striking inside Russia. And in spite of this, warnings, the US administration, supported by France and the UK, has made a deliberate decision to make these strikes, which seriously escalates the situation, and it can bring a collision between the nuclear powers, in fact.
But you are striking and have been striking Ukrainian cities since the beginning of the war with cruise missiles.
Now, the subject of the day, as I say, it will be mostly a different situation. We have been assured many times by British side, we have written a note on it that they will use cruise missiles, Storm Shadow, only inside the territory of Ukraine. So what has happened is this is a deliberate cheating of us, because we have an official note on it. And now, yes, actually, this is not a responsible...
So are you saying now that Britain is directly involved in this war?
Absolutely. Britain and UK is now directly involved in this war, because this fighting cannot happen without without NATO staff, British staff as well.
But you are using Chinese dual-use technology. You're using Iranian missiles. You're using Iranian drones. You're using North Korean troops. So are you saying all those countries are now directly involved too?
You do not allow me to answer. It is
I'm just saying it can't work both ways, really.
How it works both ways. No, on that subject, I can say easily that we have plenty of mercenaries from different countries that are fighting right now on the side of Ukraine. We just have seen in Kursk area the Polish unit, which has a special uniform worn by Polish soldiers. So what's the matter?
The threat, of course, now is that President Putin could use nuclear weapons. Is that a serious threat, or is that an empty threat?
Well, a lot of people are now speaking about in conjunction with the firing of these missiles, they are talking about changes that we have done to our military nuclear deterrence doctrine. That is right. It has been adapted closely to the realities of the current war, of course. And
why?
I hope, let me finish please on that. I hope that it will be carefully considered by the Western experts in order to understand what are the risks of escalations, not to underestimate them, because it is dangerous. And another thing what I would like to say in this connection is also important, that the it is, in this respect, I have to say that the Russian population is an overwhelming majority of the Russian population is supporting what has been done by the Russian leadership, and also
lowering the nuclear threshold.
And also the other very important issue is that Russian leadership is fully united on that, and on this matter and on all the others. And there is no sense to find some nuance, to search for some nuances or shades in it.
Right. So Russia is lowering the threshold for nuclear strikes, saying it could be in response to a conventional attack. Now, therefore, that is a threat. That is an implicit threat to use nuclear weapons. Is that a grown-up thing to do? Is that a responsible thing to do?
I wouldn't say that it is per se what you are doing about the use of the nuclear weapon. The current situation will be carefully assessed by Security Council, and the President will take a decision. But I will say that, of course, it will be a response tangible and adequate after assessment of the threats to the security of the Russian Federation.
You seem to be saying that there is a possibility that there could be some sort of nuclear strike.
I haven't said that. I didn't say that, but we have many options how to respond and what it will be done, and careful assessment, and then perhaps a response. I'm not sure what will be the decision.
But perhaps a nuclear response.
I didn't say that. No,
well, I thought you just said.
No, I do not know. I have said that there is a variety and different possibilities of responding to this irresponsible decision that has been taken by British and United States government.
You see, most nuclear-armed countries play down the possible use of nuclear weapons. Russia seems to be ramping up the possible use of nuclear weapons.
No, a lot of Western experts were saying that many red lines has been crossed, and this is another red line that has been crossed, and nothing is going to happen. I don't think so. As I have said, we will do an assessment, and a response will come.
Right. So on this point of escalation, it was Russia who invaded Ukraine. It was Russia who attacked energy infrastructure. It was Russia who attacked grain ships in the Black Sea. Russia who brought in North Korean troops. And it is now Russia threatening to use nuclear weapons. Isn't it Russia who is escalating this war?
That depends on from what point you count the situation in Ukraine.
Well, from the beginning of, from the beginning of the invasion.
No.
Isn't it Russia
who has started much more earlier.
War?
The war as such and the crisis as such has started to develop since 2014, after the coup d'etat in Kiev, which has brought illegal government over there, and some part of Ukraine did not accept it. It's this illegal government, and it was an appraisal which has the Ukrainian government tried to kill, in fact, in bringing forces over there and shooting everywhere.
It's 1,000 days now that this war has been going on. What has Russia actually achieved, other than hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian casualties and hundreds of thousands of Russian casualties? In September and October, Russia is estimated to have lost 1,350 killed or injured every day. Has it really been worth it?
These figures have been taken out of the blue, and actually the purpose of doing it is just to boost morale in Ukraine, and to boost morale in those who are providing weapons.
What are the real figures?
No,
from your point of view,
the real figures are known only in the general stuff, and there is no any speculation does not add anything to that.
But if you're not losing,
as about Ukraine, you have asked me.
Well, if you're not losing considerable numbers of soldiers, why do you have to bring in North Korean troops?
Well, actually, no one has provided evidences, and the last statement by the Pentagon, it was yesterday, that they have no proofs about Korean troops. But even if something will happen about something like that, What's the difference between bringing mercenaries from Poland, Colombia, whatever it is, from many countries, and this is what we are doing in accordance to Article 4 of the agreement with North Korea? I don't see any.
Isn't it turning into a disaster for President Putin? He is wanted in a war crimes court, but he's not wanted at the G20 Global Summit. He's a pariah. He is, as Keir Starmer says, the author of his own exile.
This is funny what you are saying, because just look at what has happened in Kazan this month, just in the recent weeks. There was more than 2/3 of the world leaders over there, well, G20, it is one of the forums. Of course, it is important, so it depends on the decision of the president whether to go or not over there. But we did have all major leaders in Kazan.
Why didn't he go? Was it because he feared he'd be arrested?
I don't think so. That depends. That depends on the significance of the importance of it. Things were important in Kazan because we have seen many world leaders over there. Things which are going in G20, they are also important, but probably they are of the lower importance because of different reasons.
I mean, he's the only Russian leader to have part of his own territory occupied by foreign forces since the Second World War.
I didn't get the question.
He's the only Russian leader to have part of Russian territory occupied by foreign forces. Ukrainian forces are inside Russian territory since the Second World War.
You speak about Kursk, Kursk area. There are different views on that. One of the view that it was a big mistake, probably, by Zelensky and his company to bring his elite forces to Kursk territory.
But his troops are still there.
It is now half already. Half has been liberated. Others are kept over there, and they cannot defend the territory in Donbass. So he's losing soldiers just in vain.
Can we talk about how this war ends?
Of course.
Does President Putin think he can win the war, militarily win the war?
I think that we are on the winning side, and quickly, because the Eastern Front is now close to collapse. We are advancing from at least 7 or more directions inside, liberating these areas. Resistance is slower and slower. The Ukrainian does not need more ammunition. They have sufficient ammunition, but they need soldiers, and they are short of soldiers because people do not want to go into the army.
Do you think the West would allow Russia to win this war militarily?
This is not depend on the West. That depends. Like Borrell has said, the issue will be resolved on the battlefield. It was the biggest mistake. We tried to resolve it by negotiations in April 22. We were very close to that. But Johnson, your prime minister, former prime minister, has prevented this, unfortunately. And he's very responsible for what is happening to Ukraine and for the losses that are happening in Ukraine.
Boris Johnson is saying responsible for what has happened.
Exactly, and absolutely.
Why?
Because he stopped negotiations. He told Ukrainians to go to fight, which they didn't want to do. But in fact, he has his share of responsibility for people dying over there.
Well, I mean, the Ukrainians would say that they wanted to fight, I imagine. Look, there's a chance of peace. Donald Trump is coming in to the White House. He has said he can bring about peace talks in a day. I don't think that's going to happen. But do you think there is a peace deal to be done? Is President Putin ready for peace?
President Putin has said many times that we can start negotiations tomorrow if Ukraine will withdraw from four regions adjacent to Russia, and it can be done. But what we hear from the other side is Boris Pistorius, defense minister of Germany, has said it is not time for peace. President Zelensky is telling every day that he is not prepared for peace.
On what terms would Russia accept peace? Under the current terms, the current territory that you have?
They have been carefully.
You are occupying that territory?
No, not only. Territorial realities should be, of course, recognized. But what we need is a nuclear neutral Ukraine, nuclear-free Ukraine, a restoration of all rights of minorities over there, so no more racial discrimination, of course, cancellation of sanctions.
What if Ukraine had security guarantees from the West? Would Russia accept that Ukraine would get security guarantees from the West?
This is a matter of negotiations. As I said, we need Ukraine non-threatening to us. It should not be a breakthrough instrument as it has been done earlier against Russia.
But Russia would insist on keeping the territory it occupies now?
It is liberated territories, and in fact, it is a reality of the war which we didn't want.
Can I just ask you a personal question? If President Putin did use nuclear weapons of any sort, without Russia itself first coming under nuclear attack, would that cross a red line for you personally? Would you be able to carry on working for a leader who deployed nuclear weapons?
You, earlier in our interviews, you also tried to ask me personal questions, but I'm an official figure here. And, well, I have no response to a very hypothetical situation.
Ambassador, thank you very much.